Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Osira, District Rotary Foundation Chair and a proud member of the Rotary Club of Naperville. I'd like to welcome our District 6450 Rotarians and our special guests, Rotary International Director Susie Howe, Peace Fellow alumni Scott Lang, our Assistant Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator Elise Cadigan, Rotary Foundation Major Gifts Officer Rachel Greenhoe, Rotary Foundation Annual Giving Officer Adina Mahovic, our Rotary Foundation Celebration, A Gathering for Good. We especially welcome our major donors, our Legacy Society, the Quest Society, and Paul Harris Society members. We honor you tonight and celebrate the good work that your generous giving has made possible through our Rotary Foundation. We will recognize our District 6450 Rotarians who became members of these most generous donor groups this year, and we will award our club recognition banners and certificates from last year. So lots of celebrating and a highly deserved recognition. And we're absolutely thrilled tonight to be able to highlight our Peace Fellowships program, which is supported by your generous donations to our annual fund. With our keynote speaker, Rotary Peace Fellow Scott Lang, who is the U.S. State Department Regional Refugee Coordinator from Istanbul, Turkey, joining us tonight from Croatia. So it's tomorrow, actually, for Scott, and we really appreciate him being here. We expect to wrap up a little bit after 8 o'clock, and we invite you to linger afterward for some informal Q&A with our wonderful guest speakers and our district leaders. So now, to get us rolling, it's my pleasure to introduce our District Governor, Chuck Corrigan.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm very pleased to welcome and introduce our first speaker tonight. That's Rotary International Director Susie Howe, a member of the Rotary Club of Space Center, Houston, Texas, USA. Susie represents our district and many others in zones 25A and B and 29. And in geographic terms, that means the Midwest, Texas, Mexico, Central America. She's got a lot under her umbrella, and she does a great job. Susie is well qualified to talk to us tonight about the Rotary Foundation. In her professional career, she was dedicated to education. She owned a Montessori school, and it's during that construction of her school that she owned that she first learned about Rotary. As her broker, her architect, and others involved in the whole deal were Rotarians and invited her to join the club. It's been 29 years now as a Rotarian for Susie, and she served in almost every capacity you can think of besides club president, training leader, a member of the Rotary Leadership Training and Development Committee. She served as a regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, as a host committee advisor for the 22 International Convention in Houston, Texas, USA, and as vice chair of the End Polio Now Countdown to History Challenge Committee. So she knows quite a bit about Rotary and the foundation. Susie's also a talented fundraiser, and she has organized 3 separate $1 million dinners raising money for the foundation. Susie's a recipient of the Service Above Self Award and the Rotary Foundation's Distinguished Service Award and citation for meritorious service. She and her husband, Bill, are Arch Clump Society and Bequest Society members. Susie, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Chuck, thank you so much. It's so great to see everybody. I'm just sorry I'm not there in person with y'all giving hugs. So thank you, Chuck. Our visit last year to the Paul Harris home, remember, that was just over a year ago. And it was a wonderful adventure because your district has helped to renovate and restore that facility. You hosted the board of directors and provided us refreshments and gave us history. Thank you so much, Chuck, and all those that helped that day. Chuck, I will be in Chicago in October, and I'm hopeful that we will see each other again. Heck, plan on coming to the Zone Institute in Houston in September. September 7th.
My tickets.
Great. It's going to be in person. I'm loving it. September 7th through 12th. So thank you, Rachel, for providing us all of the information we needed to get going today. It was a big help. And I appreciate the privilege of serving as our Rotary International Director. You know, I'm one of 17. I'm loving this job. I'm getting ready to start year number 2, then I'm done. There was a proposal before the Council on Legislation to make this a 3-year job. Not. I appreciate this. As a Rotarian for nearly 30 years, I've taken the opportunity to serve in many ways and to see amazing service performed by Rotarians around the globe. We have the opportunity to participate by taking advantage of the world's best investment, yes, the Rotary Foundation. I love literacy projects, one of our 7 areas of focus. I created partnerships with District 5890, my district, and District 4420 to do 6 literacy grants in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It was wonderful. I had to go check on them. I also raised money to return 47 girls to school in Afghanistan. Can you picture if the women in your family didn't go past the 4th grade? My goodness. And then we did a literacy project right here in Houston, in the east end of Houston. We added a classroom and materials to a Montessori preschool for at-risk kids. And the part that was fascinating for me about that was part of the requirements for the parents were that they take ESL if needed, GED classes if they didn't have it, and vocational training classes as needed. So it was win-win on that project. When we pursue our passion in Rotary, when we understand the needs of the community, we Rotarians find ways to make these projects sustainable and measurable. Not always easy, but very necessary. This is why we received the top-rated 4 stars from Charity Navigator for 12 straight years. We Rotarians include the Rotary Foundation in our estate planning. We create excitement for others to join us. The contributions of District 6450 are outstanding. I looked this up. Right now, you're at $111 per capita. That is outstanding. Thank you. You have contributed $55,700.50 to eradicate polio. And in addition to that, you've contributed $2,031 in district designated funds for polio eradication. I'm telling you, I still need $4 million to eradicate polio to meet the Bill and Melinda Gates challenge. So if that's you or your club, could you please let me know? You know, just contact me or Rachel or Adina. Your strong support of the Rotary Foundation will help us to keep our promise to the children of the world as we finish our battle against polio. You will be helping as we take on projects in our new 7th area of focus, the environment. You are helping to plan and prepare for the future. I've learned about planning ahead with trees. Someone was sitting in the shade today because someone else planted a tree a long time ago. In life, people in the current generation reap the fruits of the efforts exerted by previous generations. Without these people's ingenuity and passion to move things forward, we wouldn't be where we are now. I thank you for being those people that are invested in efforts of today so future generations can reap the benefits. You are joining a group of dedicated Rotarians. The major donors, Bequest Society, Legacy Society, and Paul Harris Society members show a strong commitment to service today and tomorrow. Your giving is providing for service locally and worldwide today and tomorrow. I thank you. Many who don't even know you, thank you for your gifts. Thank you, Chuck, for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Susie. We really appreciate your heartfelt comments tonight, your experience, your assistance, everything you're doing as a Rotary Foundation, Rotary International Director, and your commitment to the Rotary Foundation, both through the service projects and your generous giving. I spent I think 9 years in Houston. I lived in Webster for a while, just right down the street from the Space Center. And
girlfriend, I live in Friendswood.
Oh no, I lived on 1810 Talon Drive, Friendswood, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to
catch up.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up on that. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Susie. We really appreciate you being here tonight and taking our background home with you, even though we couldn't be together in person. So I would now like to call on Bob Giles, our Peace Fellow and Global Scholarship Chair. Bob.
Yes, it is my pleasure to introduce Scott Lang. Scott attended the University of Illinois at Chicago, where he earned a bachelor's degree in political science. While in Chicago, he oversaw Balkan projects at Northwestern University, directed the Post-Conflict Foundation, planned cultural festivals for the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs, and helped resettle refugees from the Balkan Wars of the 1990s at the World Relief Organization. At some point, he applied for a Rotary Peace Fellowship. He was the very first Rotary Peace Fellow from District 6450 in 2005. The Peace Fellowship has two major programs. One is a 3-month certificate program, and the other is a 2-year master's degree program. Scott applied for the master's degree program and completed an MA in conflict resolution at the University of Bradford in England. As part of his program, he conducted field research in Bosnia, Kosovo, Sri Lanka, Israel, and the Palestinian territories. When he returned to the United States, he was hired by the United States State Department. His first 2-year assignment was as consular officer in Montreal, Canada. He speaks French and Bosnian, Croatian, and Serbian. And then it exploded. 3 years in Kosovo, 3 years in Croatia, 1 year as an intelligence watch officer, 2 years as the special assistant to the Assistant Secretary for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor. And now he is the State Department's Regional Refugee Coordinator based in Istanbul, Turkey, where he oversees resettlement centers in Kiev, Istanbul, and Beirut. With a staff of more than 200, a budget of $12 million, and more than 40 open refugee cases. With all this, he found time to marry his wife, Diana, and raise 2 12-year-old twin boys. And finally, last week, he was selected as one of 50 mid-level future leaders to participate in the Secretary of State's Leadership Seminar at Harvard Business School, where he, along with his regular duties, will work to develop solutions to our most vexing challenges. It is my pleasure to introduce to you, direct from Croatia, where it's 2 o'clock in the morning, our first Rotary Peace Fellow from District 6450, Scott Lang.
Bob, thank you very much. I think you've already given my presentation for me, but I really appreciate your wonderful introduction and your mentorship over the years. I'll never forget when you interviewed me and told me the sage advice to slow it down. So I will try to keep a good cadence tonight. I'd also like to thank Susie for your inspirational message, which reminded me of the important work from another Houstonian, First Lady Laura Bush, with the Afghan Women's Council, which I was fortunate to do some work with 2 years ago when I worked in DRL, the Human Rights Bureau. Thank you, Governor Chuck, for the honor of addressing tonight's donor recognition event, as well as sincere thanks to Rachel for keeping me on track. And finally, pozdrav to Adina, and a special greetings to Pat Merriweather and Elise Cadigan, who are a gathering of good unto themselves. So, good morning, Rotarians from Zadar, Croatia. I'm delighted, truly delighted to have the opportunity to virtually return home to Chicago and spend the middle of the night with my favorite people. It's thanks to you and your generosity that I'm here tonight. Your foresight to create the Peace Fellowship and your willingness to make an unconventional choice in me back in 2005 has, I believe, paid off with some real peace dividends. Tonight, I would like to invite you to share a bit of my journey that you made possible so you can see what a Rotary World Peace Fellowship can do. It's a long shot that I'm here with you tonight. As a DCFS ward of the state of Illinois back in the 1980s, I was primarily concerned with survival. Fleeing an abusive adoptive home, I was just focused on the tip of Maslow's pyramid. Scraping by doesn't allow much time to geo-strategize. But what overcoming trauma does spark is an eternal fire in one's belly to never relent. It also helps develop a healthy BS detector and make friends everywhere. As it turns out, these are all really valuable diplomatic tools. Overcoming trauma reminds you that when somebody's suffering, they desperately need just a little boost. And when they get oriented on the right path, there's nothing that they can't do. So after getting emancipated as a ward of the state and moving to Paris to teach myself French, I returned to Chicago and started teaching Bosnian and Iraqi refugees English, which turned into a full-time position at World Relief to help refugees locate jobs. That's when the State Department first came calling to ask me to supervise elections in 1996. Since Congress did not allocate a budget, sound familiar, I drove limos to afford my flight, driver, interpreter, and hotels. What I learned in the immediate aftermath of the war from the survivors on all sides was far more valuable. That what Bosnians wanted was partnership with the outside world, in particular, mentorship of its youth. So I started a 501c3 to help young people across Bosnia's ethnic lines to obtain leadership skills through IIT Chicago, Kent, and Northwestern. During another State Department election mission, this time in 1999, which was the vote that brought Vladimir Putin to power, I met my first Rotarian ever in Taganrog, Russia. This Rotarian happened to be from Racine, Wisconsin, but I overcame my inherent bias against cheeseheads, and I heard about Rotary's plan to open a peace center. I was hooked, and I made it my life's goal to win the fellowship because I sensed this opportunity would be like no other, a practicum in peace. Fast forward to receiving the fellowship and trading my Chicago life for the University of Bradford, I was immersed in a brilliant cohort of Peace Fellows with other scholars from around the world who were hungry to learn about making peace. What was clear in 2005 is the US was seen as a pariah for invading Iraq. And while the critique on our role in that war had merit, the narrative of America bad had also taken hold and gotten out of hand. Ironically, many who supported peace argued that our values were no better than the imperialism that our founders fought against. It was with this context that I thought I could contribute to the State Department while pushing back against false narratives from our detractors. But what got me selected as a Foreign Service officer was the experience that I gained as a Rotary World Peace Fellow. During my 90-minute State Department interview and countless essays, I drew upon the real-world experience I gained leading Bradford students through Kosovo, or on a month-long practicum in Sri Lanka between wars, or during my participation in Peace Conference in Bethlehem. I could also draw upon theoretical approaches I learned about what we do well as a nation and what we can do better. And voila, in 2008, I joined the State Department as a political officer and was sent to Montreal, Canada, along with my bride and our newborn twins, where I had to complete my mandatory 2-year counselor tour. Apart from issuing visas to Cirque du Soleil acrobats and now the former Governor General, I got to hang out with Justin Trudeau, and I learned about the pressures that drove Haitians to flee their country before and after the earthquake. Next stop on my journey were 3 beautiful years here in Croatia, where I helped return elderly minority refugees through a program our government funded. I worked with prosecutors to track down and convict war criminals, and I developed cross-border reconciliation projects with Bosnia. Croatia's advances during this era helped them to join the EU. I remained in this region in Kosovo for 3 more years, ensuring 12th century monasteries survived, that victims of wartime sexual violence received legal recognition, that families of missing persons had support to find their loved ones and were treated with dignity. And I helped ensure Roma would, for the first time, have set-aside positions at the flagship university in the country. What drove me each day and in every meeting with recalcitrant ministers who are happy to be seen with an American, but were not always keen on our policies, was all of you. It's easy to take notes and report back, but I know the anonymous donors who funded my fellowship expect me to win the day for peace, and that's not easy. Fortunately, I was armed with the best piece of peace negotiation strategy ever created, the four-way test. And it is when I can reach an accord that is the truth, fair, will build friendships, and will benefit all concerned, that I know I have crafted an agreement that will last beyond the lip service niceties that diplomats are known for. Even though we're a foreign service, Washington runs the show. And if you don't learn how the building works, you can't know what it wants, what folks do with the meticulously crafted cable that you've sent in, and what senior visitors hope to accomplish in the field. And of course, how the interagency and Congress work. So I returned home to become an intelligence watch officer in our 24-hour operations center. In addition to the excitement of being on duty during missile launches, the overthrow of a dictator, or on those rare quiet days, I learned the rhythm of the building, where the hidden buttons of power are located, and who gets to press them. This insider experience led me to become special assistant in the Bureau of Human Rights, Democracy, and Labor, which is basically being the on-call right hand of the leader of the Bureau, the air traffic controller for 140 officers to implement sanctions against human rights abusers, ensure grants make it out to the civil society actors around the world, and strategizing on when to speak out in the media. Over 2 years, I participated in 2 UN General Assemblies in New York, organized numerous press events to release political prisoners, trained our officers from across Africa and Johannesburg on preventing atrocities, and even had lunch with Amal Clooney. I engaged directly with members of Congress, drafted speeches for the secretary, and got to serve part-time on the Undersecretary for Political Affairs staff. In the process, I saw how policy is formulated with every part of the State Department, with lawyers, the regional bureaus that oversee embassies, and the functional bureaus that are charged by statute with promoting certain policies, such as anti-trafficking or religious freedom. What I figured out is what I knew when I was a ward of the state. People are key. And if you want to get something done, you better understand where your counterparts are coming from, who your allies are, and what compromise you can live with. Just like all of your business operations that went online during the pandemic, I had to figure out how to make a bureau work virtually while addressing new challenges to democratic norms that this epic put forth. I'm glad the pandemic is finally over. That brings me to the present, which is in Istanbul, where I moved with my 12-year-old twins, my all the more lovely bride, who I hope is still sleeping tonight, and our cat from Kosovo. My role as regional refugee coordinator means I'm responsible for overseeing resettlement centers in Beirut, Kiev, and Istanbul, which have vastly different populations from Syrians, Iraqis, Iranians, and Afghans to religiously persecuted individuals from across the former Soviet Union. It's a huge role which requires vigilance to ensure those vulnerable families we accept into our program meet our security standards and help achieve our humanitarian aims. It's incredibly fulfilling work, particularly now with the new presidential determination that increased our ceiling earlier this month. I'm incredibly excited to finally emerge from this pandemic slumber and get out into the field to do some good. Please know that whatever far-off lands I head off to this year and all the rest, I will carry with me your aspirations and expectations to build peace by asking the same four-way test. Thank you, Rotarians, again, for believing in me and making this all possible.
Thank you, Scott. Absolutely wonderful. I'm going to turn it over to Adi. I think Adi's going to come in and make some remarks.
Yes, I am. All right. Well, thank you, Peace Fellow Scott Lang, for honoring us tonight from Croatia and for your insightful address and for sharing some of your journey with us. Thank you for doing the good work for peace. We're proud of your exemplary career thus far. We believe in your work for peace. According to Voltaire, appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us as well. The stated purpose of Rotary International is to bring together business and professional leaders to provide humanitarian service and advance goodwill and peace around the world. Every year, Rotary selects up to 130 of some of the world's brightest and most dedicated professionals to study at one of 6 Rotary Peace Centers worldwide. You've met Scott. The Rotary Peace Fellows earn a master's degree or professional development certificate. The Rotary Peace Centers program has a vision of creating sustainable peace, encompassing a network of peace builders and community leaders dedicated to preventing and resolving conflicts around the globe. Clubs and districts play a vital role in the recruitment and nominations of future Peace Fellows and help keep them engaged after the fellowship. Since 2005, District 6450 has sponsored 11 Peace Fellows. Again, you've met Scott and heard from him and the work he's doing. And I'm pleased to invite you now to view personal video testimonies from 3 Peace Fellow alumni about this program, whereby we give Peace Fellows a chance to change the world. You may need to turn up the volume on your device for the videos.
Hunter, we're not hearing the video.
Hello, my name is Rachel Davidson. In 2009, I attended the Universidad del Salvador in Buenos Aires, Argentina as a Rotary Peace Fellow. Currently, I work as the managing attorney for immigration policy at the Doors Legal Services Center in New York City, working every day with immigrant children and unaccompanied minors in humanitarian immigration matters. The Rotary Peace Fellowship gave me the skills to collaborate across difference in the context of one of our country's most urgent humanitarian crises to ensure that the needs and human rights of immigrant children are respected both within and at our borders. I want to thank you and the generous people like you who contribute to the Rotary Foundation and make the Rotary Peace Fellowship possible. Hello.
Hello, my name is Laura Graham. I attended the Universidad del Salvador in Buenos Aires, Argentina as a Rotary Peace 2011. Currently, I'm an attorney at a nonprofit organization in Madison, Wisconsin, representing detained low-income members of our immigrant community. My experience as a Peace Fellow was transformative in many ways. First, the experience of studying in Latin America provided exposure to unique scholarship and perspectives. Further, completing graduate studies and composing my master's thesis in Spanish was incredibly useful to my current work. And finally, I currently serve on the board of directors of another nonprofit organization providing microfinance to women in Latin America. The executive director of that organization is also a former Peace Fellow. Thank you and the generous people like you who have contributed to the Rotary Foundation and have made the Rotary Peace Fellowship possible.
I'm Dr. Wendy Sternberg. I'm a 2009 Rotary Peace and Conflict Studies Fellow, and I'd like to take a moment to thank you for the opportunity to have attended the program and for your investment in something that profoundly impacted my life. At the time, I had been practicing medicine and also running a global not-for-profit organization, Genesis at the Crossroads. I elected to leave my career in medicine 3 months before I arrived at Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. One of the things I got out of the program was the ability to work with people from all over the world equally dedicated to peace building. I would turn to the people sitting to my right most of the time during the program, and they included Pial from Sri Lanka, who worked in the Peace Secretariat, and Ayaz, who was a former child soldier from Kashmir in Pakistan. And it was these kinds of experiences that were displacing that had me challenge my thinking and look into intractable issues from a whole different perspective. That included the rebuilding of Kosovo, looking at genocide through a Buddhist lens in Cambodia, interviewing former Khmer Rouge combatants, looking at the prostitution cycle and the people who get up every day knowing that a lot of the people go back into the cycle, but they still are committed to their work. I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity that had me come back to Chicago and think about creating a peace hub for Genesis at the Crossroads. Programs like Sounds of Healing that work on healing through an artistic vehicle, and other programs that will keep me plenty occupied for the rest of my life. Thank you, and with so much gratitude.
Rotarians and friends, we've just shared the foundation's impact on the Global Grant Scholarship Program that sponsors these Peace Fellows. The program supports the Rotary Foundation's ultimate goal of world understanding and peace. The foundation allocates funds to endorse fellowship candidates. The Rotary Peace Fellowship is generous and comprehensive. The fellowship funding includes tuition, accommodations, travel, and field experience expenses. Program alumni serve as leaders in government and non-government agencies, education and research, United Nations agencies, law enforcement and the military, humanitarian groups, and international organizations. Novelist and author William Makepeace Thackeray said, "Next to excellence is the appreciation of it." Please join me in showing appreciation for our Peace Fellows and our program's patronage and excellence. Let's continue to give Peace Fellows a chance to change the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Adi. Thank you for those wonderful remarks. Let's do continue to give Peace Fellows a chance. Scott, thank you for joining us from Croatia. You're in our hearts. You'll always be in our hearts. Please visit us the next time you come to Chicago. We talked the other day, your night, my day. Maybe that's 2022. And thank you to also the Peace Fellows that we heard on video. And thank you, Bob Giles, for getting our district involved in the Peace Fellows program. Just absolutely wonderful. I'm glad we had the opportunity this evening to really shine a light on the Peace Centers and the Peace Fellowship program and the incredible results that are occurring, because of these individuals supported by your donations to the Rotary Foundation Annual Fund. It's my pleasure now to introduce our Major Gifts Officer, Rachel Greenhoe, who's going to talk to us about the impact of the Rotary Foundation this current year. Take it away, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. It is my pleasure to join you all tonight. My name, as Rachel said, is Rachel Greenhoe, and in my role as Major Gifts Officer, I have the honor of working with donors making outright gifts and bequest commitments of $10,000 or greater. And I am continuously inspired by Rotarians' dedication to improving the world through Rotary. I can say that this has never been more true than right now. This past year has been challenging for many, and at a time when there's so much need around us, you as Rotarians have answered the call. It is through your work and generous support that you provide opportunities through our Rotary Foundation. Opportunities for clean water in communities across the globe, protection from disease, improved health for mothers and children, increased economic development, improved education, promoting peace, and soon protecting our environment. Thank you for your continued support of the Rotary Foundation through your outright gifts and bequest commitments to make this work possible. It's truly special when we have a gathering of District 6450's most generous and committed donors. So let's take a moment to highlight the impact of your giving. First, let's take a look at your impact through the Foundation's Disaster Response Fund, which allows Rotary districts affected by natural disasters the opportunity to apply for one of these grants to help their communities recover. So far this Rotary year, the fund has provided 28 grants totaling over $688,000. Now, some examples of these grants include purchasing essential tools for workers and equipment and supplies to support online and at-home learning for those impacted by wildfires in Oregon. Another grant provided food, water, gas, and clothing for those impacted by fires in Northern California. And also a grant that provided food and bags of paddy seeds to farmers and their families impacted by severe flooding in Bangladesh. On to polio. Now, last year in 2020, there were 140 cases of the wild polio virus, compared to the year before of 176. Now, we have just 2 cases of wild polio virus that have been confirmed thus far this calendar year. So great news. We have also seen a strong demonstration of the plus in Polio Plus through the key role our polio work has played in the fight against COVID-19. Now, you've already heard a little bit about the Rotary Peace Centers, but I'm happy to share with you that it has also been a very exciting year for the Rotary Peace Centers with a launch of an enhanced master's degree program and an expanded certificate program. Now, at the beginning of this calendar year, we welcomed the first class of certificate program fellows from our brand new Rotary Peace Center located at Makerere University in Uganda. These fellows and the fellows at the other certificate center in Chulalongkorn, Thailand, will benefit from our expanded program that was previously 3 months and is now a full year. You may have also seen the recent and very exciting announcement that thanks to an extremely generous gift from the Otto and Fran Walter Foundation, we will establish a Rotary Peace Center in the Middle East or North Africa. Now, of course, the work of the foundation that you might be likely to be most familiar with is that of district grants and global grants. And that's because these are the grants that fund your important Rotary projects, both in your own communities and communities across the globe. The money that you have available for your district and global grants is the result of your contributions to both the annual fund and to Rotary's endowment. And because of you, we have accomplished so much this Rotary year. As of May 5th, the Rotary Foundation had provided over $31 million in district grant funding. Now, some examples of how your clubs have worked to better your local communities through district grants this year include providing PPE for nursing homes, support of food pantries and homeless shelters, dictionaries for 3rd graders, and much, much more. As of May 5th, the Rotary Foundation has approved 1,706 global grants, which represents over $121.5 million in total funding. Now, the areas of focus that have received the highest grant activity this year include number one is disease prevention and treatment, followed by water, sanitation and hygiene, and then community economic development. So with your district being highly active in global grants, you know the impact that you can have. Impact through recent projects like the one by the Chicago Cosmopolitan Club that provided PPE kits for doctors and nurses treating COVID-19 patients in Mumbai, India. Or the project by the Hinsdale Rotary Club that provided stretchers and X-ray equipment for Children's Cancer Hospital in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You have even funded global grant scholars, including Lindsay Allen, whose global grant scholarship provided by the Oak Park River Forest Rotary Club allowed her to study environment and development from the London School of Economics. So this was just a quick snapshot of the work that your giving has made possible this Rotary year. Now, of course, the Rotary year is not over yet, and Rotarians continue to improve lives through the Rotary Foundation. There's still also time to increase your impact by making a gift to the Rotary Foundation before June 30th. So please reach out to me at any time to discuss how you can achieve your philanthropic goals through the foundation. You know, I have seen some common trends in many of the gifts that I'm currently working on with donors. A lot of the donors are taking advantage of the strong stock market that we've seen in the past year and making gifts using appreciated securities, allowing them to change lives through the foundation by making tax-deductible gifts that at the same time allows them to avoid capital gains tax. Many other donors aged 70 and older are making gifts directly from their IRA, and in doing so are able to reduce their tax burden by avoiding income tax on that amount. Donors have also used this past year to update their final estate plans and establish their Rotary legacy by remembering the foundation in their will or naming the foundation as a beneficiary in a life insurance policy or retirement account. So whether you're considering a gift to boost your district's annual fund giving or help us reach our goal of polio eradication, or you're looking to give a gift that will impact communities for generations to come through the endowment, I am always available to assist you in making gifts that provide the greatest impact in the areas of the foundation that mean the most to you. But for now, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your generous support of the Rotary Foundation and for all you do to make the work of Rotary possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. We want to say thank you to you for joining us here tonight, for sharing the impact of the Rotary Foundation, the good news about polio, insights about what our district has been doing, and also this important information about giving. And if anyone needs help in reaching out to Rachel, please get a hold of myself or Chuck Corrigan. She will definitely be able to help you privately, you know, and in confidence. So thank you again, Rachel. It's my pleasure now to introduce past District Governor Rick Thurnau, who is also our chair for major donors, bequests, and endowments, as well as our Paul Harris Society chair. And Rick is going to lead us in our recognition celebration. Over to you, Rick.
Thank you, Rachel. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for your support of our foundation. You'll note that I said our foundation. Is your foundation, is my foundation. It is truly all of ours foundation. So we should all take ownership of it. But thank you so much for your support of the foundation. But equally, thank you from the millions of people in our local community and around the world that we're changing lives because of your commitment to our foundation. We're going to start this evening recognizing many new major donors at various levels. And at our level one, and level one means cumulative giving of at least $10,000, but less than $25,000, is Chuck and Mary Corrigan, Jane Hopkins, Scott and Veronica McAdam, Barry McEwen, Brenda Pino, and Charles Ward. A very big thank you to each and every one of you for your commitment. We have one new major donor at the level two. Level two is cumulative giving of at least $25,000 but less than $50,000. And this individual is Jayant Malhotra. And we thank you for your support. And we have a new major donor at the level 3 level, and that is $50,000 but less than $100,000. And that is Charles Westfall. So Charles, thank you very much for your support all these years. At this time, I would like to introduce Chuck and Mary Corrigan, our district governor, to share with all of us why they give to our foundation. Chuck and Mary?
Well, I'll take the lead on this. Mary's with her mom tonight. Hi, Mary. She's not in the same room with me, but she's online. Rick, thank you very much. Rick, you've been, as a past district governor, you've been a great example to all of us, both in your service to our district, but also in your support of the Rotary Foundation. You know, you're right up there with the leaders in our community for supporting the foundation. You know, I joined Rotary in 2007. I was looking for an opportunity to continue community service, and I knew Rotary was a great organization and knew a lot of people in our town that were in Rotary. And when my club was chartered, Naperville Downtown Club, I thought it was a great time to join into it. But I never imagined that, you know, I'd be here talking to you about being a major donor for the Rotary Foundation. You know, right from the beginning, though, the concept of our club was that every member every year would give at least $100 to the Rotary Foundation. So right from the beginning, we knew that this was an important part of what Rotary is and what being a Rotarian is. And, you know, at $100 a year, you know, if I live for 100 years, you know, you get to be a major donor. But obviously things changed over time. I got more involved in Rotary. I became our club president. I became assistant governor. I became governor nominee, district designate nominee, elect, and governor. And during all that, you learn really what the foundation does. You know, what the foundation brings to our district, what it does all over the world. And the mission of it is simple. It's to do good in the world. And it became easier and easier to say, okay, not only am I going to give $100 a year, but I'm going to find other ways to give as well, and to give regularly. And, you know, Mary and I became regular contributors to the foundation, very easy to do on a monthly basis. And before you know it, it adds up. But the reason we do it is simple. We can see really easily the good that it does. You know, our district grant program has been so strong in the last dozen years. All the projects that our clubs can do with the money that comes back to us from our gifts, it's amazing. The global grants program, I think Susie mentioned or Rachel mentioned that we're so strong in global grants. You know, if you look at the 1,700 global grants done this year out of 500 districts, that's just like 3 or 4 global grants in a particular district, but we're over 20 global grants in our district. We're doing work all over the world, including, I want to say 3 or 4 active global grants right here in Chicago area. And so we're getting the money that we give. It comes right back to us. You know, Rachel and I have been doing the math for a couple of years, and we get as much or more than we give to the foundation. So it's a really good investment. And some of it, we get to choose exactly what we're spending the money on. You know, if we give to the Polio Plus Fund, we know where it's going. If we give to the annual fund, we know half of that's coming back to our district so that we can use it for district grants, for global grants. You know, and some of our giving is a bit of a leap of faith. You know, we know that we're giving so that it's going to support things that the foundation trustees decide where the money goes. But look at examples we've seen tonight from Scott and Wendy and the other Peace Scholars. You know, the decisions the trustees make, we've seen great evidence that they're making wonderful decisions with our money, and it's really paying off. And it really is a great investment of our charitable dollars. So I'm real happy that so many of you on the call tonight are strong supporters of the foundation. I see so many past district governors, I can't even name them all, from Chris Riley and Jim Zerwanka, Scott McAdam, Irv Kaplan, Debbie Ross, Rick Thurnau, Ron Broida, Pedro, Pat Merriweather's on. I'm not sure if I missed anybody, but once you understand what the Rotary Foundation can do, you become a lifelong giver to support it. And I encourage those who are just giving it at a smaller basis to think about stepping it up and supporting the programs that we heard about tonight and so many more that we know are helping our clubs and in our districts. So thanks for the opportunity to say thank you. And I encourage everybody to continue to support our Rotary Foundation. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Chuck. Very inspirational, and you could tell that came from your heart. So thank you for sharing your story with us. At this time, I have the pleasure and the honor to introduce our annual giving officer of the Rotary Foundation, Adina Mahovic.
Thank you, PDG Rick, and a big thank you to DG Chuck and DRFC Rachel for having me join you this evening. Good evening, everyone. As PDG Rick just mentioned, my name is Adina Mahovic, and I'm the annual giving officer for District 6450, as well as the rest of Zone 29. I work with club, district, and regional leaders to promote the foundation and attract new donors, engage current donors in our annual giving program. I'm delighted to be joining you this evening in this celebration of you. And I'd like to echo everyone's sentiments before me and thank you for your continued generosity and all the good that you do in your local and global communities. Thank you for supporting our foundation and for being the good in the world. I'm going to start by sharing a little background on the Paul Harris Society. It's named after our Rotary's founder. The Paul Harris Society recognizes Rotary members and friends of the Rotary Foundation who elect to give individual contributions of $1,000 or more each year to our annual fund, Polio Plus Fund, Disaster Response Fund, or an approved global grant. This recognition was administered by districts until the Paul Harris Society became an official Rotary Foundation recognition program in July 2013. Its purpose is to identify, engage, and recognize members who have the ability and desire to make substantial annual gifts to help communities around the world. The Paul Harris Society was created in 1999 by past District Governor Wayne Cusick from District 5340. Cusick realized that giving $1,000 annually to the foundation was not possible for every Rotarian, but many could be encouraged to contribute at this level or even above this level. He introduced the Paul Harris Society program to encourage and recognize these donors. The idea gained momentum and quickly spread to other districts throughout the world. Paul Harris Society membership has grown from about 10,600 members in 84 countries in 2013-14 to more than 26,000 members in 144 countries currently. In 2013-14, the Paul Harris Society members accounted for nearly 11% of annual fund giving. Today, the generosity of our Paul Harris Society members contributes to just under 19% of our annual fund gifts. That's $23.4 million in contributions towards future district and global grant projects. Some of the projects that we mentioned earlier on today that Rachel mentioned, that Scott was mentioning. In 2019-20, our Paul Harris Society welcomed 2,386 new members. This is the biggest yearly growth in membership in 3 years. Society members' consistent support is incredibly important to the district. It means that each year the district can rely on gifts from these donors to fund meaningful district and global grant projects. You, as Paul Harris Society members, are an important group of donors to your club, your district, and our Rotary Foundation. Finally, I'd like to just share the snapshot with you of your district and global Paul Harris Society membership. Here we see the eligibility rate for District 6450 is 54%, just around the worldwide eligibility rate. This eligibility rate means that this is a subset of Paul Harris Society donors in District 6450, or 54%, that are meeting their commitment to donate $1,000 or more. Thank you for your continued generosity. The second figure represents you, the 103 Rotarians in your district who represent the Paul Harris Society. Thank you for sharing your time, your talent, and your treasures with our foundation. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, Adina. We really appreciate those remarks. Before we recognize our newest Paul Harris Society members, I've been asked to share with you the little bit of the history of the Paul Harris Society in our district. When I was coming in as district governor in 2005, 2006, I had heard about something called the Paul Harris Society, and I thought it really sounded interesting. And I sat down with the immediate past district governor at that time, Chris Riley, and Chris and I had many conversations on the Paul Harris Society. And we agreed that that would be a great thing for our district to begin with. And we had a very good start with it. We've continued. And since 2005, our Paul Harris Society has donated over $1 million to the Rotary Foundation. And that's an amazing feat. And I really cannot stress enough how important that is. As Adina shared with you, 19% of all the money into the annual fund comes from the Paul Harris Society. There is such a need for donations, and this is just one of many ways to do that. And I would encourage each and every one of you to think about stepping up to become part of the Paul Harris Society. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out to me. I chair this for the district, and it's very easy. I do it off my credit card, Rotary Direct. It makes it simple. I don't have to write a check every quarter. I do it quarterly, $250 onto my credit card. And most of you know me. I'm always looking for a bargain. I also get airline mileage with it as well. So it really benefits. So I would encourage you to think and maybe step up to become part of the Paul Harris Society. And I look forward to hearing from you. But let's recognize our newest members of the Paul Harris Society. And our first person is Ken McConaughey. Thank you, Ken. Susan Tyberski and Stephen Francis. And I thank all three of you for stepping up this year to become members of the Paul Harris Society. But I have a favor before I close and we pass this on to ask each and every one of you. I'm asking you to go back to your club and share with them, if you're an annual giver, why you give at the level you do. If you're part of the Paul Harris Society, share with your club why you're doing it. If you're a major donor or part of the Bequest Society, share with your club why you feel is so important for you to step up to it and why others should as well. The district can't do all the work. You know the people better than we do. I'm asking you to step up. And if you ever need a program on the foundation in giving, I'm more than happy to do it. So with that, back to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for sharing that important history and a heartfelt call to generosity for each of us, and a call to sharing our story about why we give. It is really, really powerful. And many thanks to you, Adina, for your presentation tonight. But the biggest thanks to our new major donors and Paul Harris Society members for your generosity and for your commitment. It is my pleasure now to introduce our immediate past district governor and Polio Plus chair, Debbie Ross, to lead us in our club recognition celebration. Over to you, Debbie.
Debbie, you need to unmute, please.
Should we try this again with no mute? And that is, thank you, Rachel, and good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to recognize our clubs that have donated at least $100 on average to our Rotary Foundation, with every member giving at least $25. think I need another slide. So these are the 2019-2020 100% Our Rotary Foundation Giving Banner Clubs. They are Brookfield Riverside, Chicago Cosmopolitan, Chicago Financial District, Chicago Little Village, Chicago Northwest, Chicago Southeast, Chicagoland Lithuanians, Hinsdale, Lamont Homer Glen, Mantino, Moraine Valley, Morris, Naperville Downtown, Naperville Sunrise, New Lenox, Oak Lawn Healthcare, Orland Park, and Woodridge. We thank the clubs and the members. We continue by acknowledging clubs that have donated at least $100 on average to our annual fund, with every member giving at least $25. These are the 2019-2020 100% Every Rotarian Every Year banner clubs. We recognize Brookfield Riverside, Chicago Cosmopolitan, Chicago Financial District, Chicago Little Village, Chicago Northwest, Chicago Southeast, Chicagoland Lithuanians, Hinsdale, Lamont Homer Glen, Mantino, Moraine Valley, Morris, Naperville Sunrise, New Lenox, Orland Park, and Woodridge. Next, we wish to recognize the clubs having donated $1,500 or more to end polio now. These are the 2019-2020 End Polio Now Certificate of Appreciation clubs. The clubs that will be receiving the certificates are Aurora Sunrise, Chicago, Chicago O'Hare, Chicago Lithuanians, Elmhurst, Hinsdale, Joliet, Naperville, Naperville Downtown, Oak Park River Forest, and Orland Park. Finally, we wish to congratulate the 3 clubs from District 6450 that have given the most per capita to the annual fund. These are the 2019-2020 top 3 annual fund per capita giving banner clubs. In first place, the Rotary Club of Darien with $560 per member. In second place, the Rotary Club of Oak Park River Forest at $503. And in third place, the Rotary Club of Naperville with $434. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to Rotarian Joanna Ragona from the Rotary Club of Darien. Joanne?
Hi, as she said, my name is Joanne Ragona and I'm with the Rotary Club of Darien. I was asked to provide information as to how Darien communicates the importance of the Rotary Foundation. First of all, I'd like to say we're a small club of 29 people and we have 9 Paul Harris Society members, which means that those members contribute at least $1,000 per year. Our foundation chair provides information about giving, which can be done quarterly, monthly, or yearly. And Darien is a strong supporter of the foundation, always striving to be one of the highest district contributors. I was also asked to say something about our district designated fund, the DDF. We use that and it goes back to our backpack program, which is food for kids, and it stays within our community and we see good results because of it. And we thank you.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you to the members of the Rotary Club of Darien. Exceptional job. And now from the Rotary Club of Oak Park River Forest, may I please introduce Rotarian Sue Quinn. Sue?
Hi, Debbie. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm a little disappointed that our club doesn't have every Rotarian every year up there. We have a ways to go, but we are extremely grateful for the generous donors that we do have. And our giving to Polio Plus this year was just over $5,200, and we budget for some of this directly in our annual budget, that we're going to put money towards that. And we were able to maximize that giving this year with that matching fund through the district and the Gates Foundation in October. But we still have an additional $1,700 in member giving. There's really strong support for Polio Plus historically in our club. And our annual fund came in about just over 26,300. 25 members gave this year, and everyone gave $100 or more. So, this is interesting at the end of the year where I'm kind of, thinking about the messaging, going through there, that video that you created at the district in February was really helpful. And it was something that I touched on this year. I'm the president this year in doing training. I think the key is really to get the message out to our members about, this is the foundation, and this is what it brings back to us. And I think that we need to do that in member onboarding for new members so they understand all of the great things that the foundation does for our clubs. So we'll keep plugging away at it, and we still have a month to give. So we'll put it out in our newsletter, and I think that we still have 4 meetings where we can get our numbers, at least our numbers up for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And thank you to all the members of Oak Park River Forest for what you do. And finally tonight, from the Rotary Club of Naperville, I'd like to introduce you to Rotarian Rich Tatara. Rich?
Hi, everybody. Rich Tatara here from Naperville. Just want to say that I think we're very blessed in Naperville to have a core group of folks who are very generous givers to the foundation. But one of the things that we do to try and help make sure that everybody understands the value of the foundation is ensure that everybody sees what we are doing with the district designated funds, and showing how those district designated funds are useful for supporting projects in the Naperville and Chicago area, in addition to projects around the world. We're also, of course, very fortunate to have a very strong international service committee who is sponsoring many global grant projects, and a very strong core group of people who make up that committee. And the work that they're doing is, again, celebrated widely within our club and felt throughout all of our membership that everybody feels that we are doing good throughout the world. And lastly, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we have a very strong legacy of giving in the Rotarians that have gone before us, that have left our club in a very good position to be in support of the foundation. So again, I know a number of our our strong givers are here on this call. I want to thank all of them for their support of the foundation. And it's just a wonderful and exciting organization to be a part of with the work that we are doing throughout the world through the foundation's efforts.
Thank you, Rich. And again, thank you to Joanne, Sue, and Rich for these heartfelt messages. And I'll add just a final note that as polio chair, thank you to our district and its members for the exceptional support offered to that cause this year. I think we re-energized ourselves, recommitted ourselves to the cause. This is our organization's champion cause. And if we don't support it, if we don't come up behind it, then shame on us. So I would encourage you, just as Rick had said, to go back to your clubs and say, Rotary has made a commitment to the children of the world to eradicate this disease from the face of the planet. And we do that through donations to the foundation, to the Polio Plus Fund. We have an obligation as Rotarians to step up and do our part in accepting that challenge. So thank you everyone for your generosity. And Rachel, back to you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for your tremendous leadership as district governor last year, which was my president year, and for your passion as Polio Plus chair. Really appreciate it so much on the behalf of everyone. And I want to thank all of the clubs that were awarded banners or certificates of achievement, and the top 3 giving clubs. Sue, you made my day when you mentioned the annual fund video that you appreciated back in February. That was something we put together for the first time this year, and it is timeless. So I'm really glad to hear that you're using that for member orientation, and that's really great feedback. District Governor Chuck will be mailing out the banners and certificates to the addresses on record for each of the clubs. So look for those to arrive soon, and please proudly display them. I would, as a almost final thing, I'd like to just take a few moments to thank 2 of our committees for their amazing work that they do throughout the year in support of the foundation. All of these folks are all-stars. They are working continuously, throughout the year to support our clubs, to support our foundation, to support the service project. So first is our foundation committee with Mary Doherty, Florence Forche, Chris Riley, Debbie Ross, Rick Thurnau, Bob Giles, Pedro Savalos, Leslie Gottlinger, Bill Lyman, Irv Kaplan. So a round of applause for all of these folks. And the other committee that I would like to thank is our absolutely tireless grants committee, who are working incredibly right now as a number of deadlines are approaching. Bruce George, Sue Lynn, Hervé Jacot, Joanne Ragona, Tom Norton, Jane Hopkins, Florence Forche, Chuck Newman, Iris Saavedra, Zaldivar, I misspelled that, I'm really sorry, Leslie Gottlinger, Bill Lyman, Rob Han, Pat Merriweather, and Pedro Savalos, who is chairing with that extremely important committee. So thank you again to all of our all-stars, our committee members. And it is my pleasure at this time to introduce past district governor, Pat Merriweather. Pat is also our district international service chair, our regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, and she is Rotary director nominee. Pat, I'd like to ask you to wrap us up and lead us in the 4-way test.
Well, thank you, Rachel, and thank you, everyone. Just hearing everyone about your generous donations and what good it's doing in the world, I hope you know that when you go to sleep tonight, I hope you sleep well, because knowing that you've done good locally as well as globally. I'd also like to thank our speakers, Susie and Scott Lang, and all the presenters tonight for their wonderful contributions to this program. And I'm especially happy to see Scott Lang, because again, he is a jewel in our district and will always be. I'd like to just leave with a few words, and I know you've heard me say this before: no money, no mission, no mission, no money. We have the mission, and you have been very generous in providing the mission, the funding for the mission. So thank you all. And now if we can all sort of take off our mute, and if we can all join in and say our 4-way test. One, is it the truth?
The truth.
Second,
Concerned.
Three,
Will and better
friendships. And 4,
be beneficial to all concerned.
thank you. And wouldn't it be great if we sang this?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
We need someone
Give
to
us the
write it to music.
tune.
Well, thank you. And I'm now going to turn it over to our district governor, Chuck.
Thanks, Pat. You know, I put in the chat that Pat has too many titles to even list them all. You know, she's done it for our district over and over again. Thank you, Pat, for again contributing to tonight's program. I really want to take a moment to thank not only the speakers that we mentioned, but the folks who helped to plan this evening's event, including first and foremost Rachel Osira, our District Rotary Foundation Committee Chair, who put this all together. Past District Governor Rick Thurnau, past District Governor Debbie Ross, District Governor nominee Ade Umayame,
Adi.
Day, however we say it, pronounces it differently every time I talk to him. Scholarship Committee, Dr. Bob Giles. Dr.
Hey.
Bob has done a tremendous job with our scholarship and our Peace Fellowship program. Thank you, Bob. Our Stewardship Committee Co-Chair Leslie Godlinger, our district PI Chair Hunter Byington, who helped with the technical aspects tonight, and our super Rotarian volunteer, Mary Doherty. Mary, we appreciate all your effort putting this all together.
Excellent.
Susie, Pat, Scott, Rachel, Adina, thank you for contributing your comments tonight. And thank everyone for joining our gathering for good in support of our Rotary Foundation.
Beautiful.
This
Very
concludes the formal part of our event, and we will stop the recording, but we will feel free to stay around for a little afterwards. And most of our speakers will be around for question and answer and a little bit of interaction. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night. If you're going to leave now, if you're going to stick around, I think you'll enjoy a little interaction.